The SN95 and New Edge Mustangs are some of the most iconic Mustangs ever made. These cars weren't just another generation, they were a once-in-a-generation. A perfect blend of reliability, attitude, and pure 90s and early 2000s badassery. When you see one in traffic, you instantly know it's a Mustang. Nothing else looks like it, nothing else sounds like it, nothing else carries that era's vibe more like that car. From 96 to 04, Ford was firing on all cylinders. V6 daily beaters, GTs, Cobras, Mach 1s, all the way up to the Terminator Cobra. Every one of them had their own identity, and together they all built a legacy that still hits today. And today I'm breaking down why the SN95 and New Edge Mustang, that era, wasn't just special, it was legendary. We start off in 1994 with the very first SN95 Mustang. It was curvy and very 90s looking. And honestly, the reception was very mixed on it. Some people loved the design, some people hated it, but everyone agreed it was a Mustang. Under the hood, Ford kept its iconic 302 small block, and it made around 215 horsepower and 285 pound-feet of torque. Now this was at the crank, so realistically you were probably around 195, 190 at the wheels. It was respectable for the time, but Ford wasn't done with that, because alongside the GT, Ford also dropped the Cobra. And for 94 and 95, it wasn't just a rebadge. These had different intake manifolds, better flowing heads, and a bit of a spicier cam to help the car breathe a little more. These early SN95 Cobras hit harder, revved higher, and just all around badass cars. But in 95, SVT, which was Ford's special vehicle team, said that wasn't enough. Enter the 95 Cobra R, an absolute monster. Instead of having the 302, this came with a 351 Windsor block, which was a 5.8 liter, and it made just around 300 horsepower and 365 pound-feet of torque at the crank. And Ford only built 250 of these things. The only way you can get them was if you were a qualified racer and you were racing these for Ford. So you had to go through this special process to even get these cars. But these things were absolute track animals. Purpose-built Ford racing machines. But Ford wasn't done. In 96, they decided to change things up in a big way. Now, in 1996, Ford did something crazy. They killed the 302 small block and then introduced the 4.6 liter modular V8, or the 5.4 liter modular V8. Basically just the modular motor. Now, opinions on the modular motor were very mixed. Overhead cams instead of a pushrod motor, it was not something that a lot of people liked at the time. But some people nowadays, they worship it, others just call it a pile of garbage. Me, personally, I like it. It's reliable, it's a good engine, and they can make good power. And nothing at the time really sounded like them. And in today's market, the aftermarket for these is huge. And this was a huge change for Ford. No more pushrod, overhead cam territory now, which was a big change, especially with other American manufacturing sticking with the original pushrod motor. Chevy kept the pushrod motor going. Dodge was kind of just floundering around, but Ford took a pretty big risk on this. Now, the 96 to 98 GTs, which I had a 98 GT, came with the 2-valve, which was a single overhead cam V8. These made around 225 horsepower and 290 foot-pounds of torque at the crank. And from this point on, any horsepower number I've referenced is going to be at the crank. It was nothing crazy, but it was pretty decent for the time, especially for a pretty common commuter car back then. But here's where things get legendary. Introducing the 4-valve modular motor. That's right. The 96 to 98 Cobras came with a dual overhead cam modular motor, aka the 4-valve. Now these motors made around 305 horsepower and 300 foot-pounds of torque. And man, these engines screamed when you floored it. It is one of the most iconic V8s that Ford has ever made, besides the Coyote. It was pretty high revving for the time and very unique, especially for an American car. And these motors are what kind of put the SN95 on the map. Now, as good as the 4-valve Cobras were, the 2-valve GTs weren't perfect by any regards. People complained that they were very underpowered and they struggled to breathe, especially at the high RPM ranges. And that 94 to 98 styling didn't have that aggressive new millennium look to it. So Ford went back to the drawing board, and in 99 they introduced the new Edge Mustang.
High side, keep a little gas on that turn. 9 3. Hold on, here's that signal. Atta girl.
The new Ford Mustang moves even faster with 2.9 financing.
Parallel parking? Check.
Now the new Edge, man, Ford knocked this out of the park here. It is definitely the most iconic looking Mustang that Ford has ever created. People see it, they automatically are like, that's a Mustang. You just know, because it's so iconic. It's so good looking. The sharp edges, everything about it looks so good. It was that perfect blend of that 90s to early 2000s edgy punk rock metal look to it. And the people who loved Ford, they went feral for these cars. They went crazy for these things. They love them. But the styling wasn't the only evolution in this line. The 2-valve motor got a bit of an update. Ford introduced the PI 2-valve, which is performance enhanced 2-valve. These PI motors had PI heads, which had larger intake ports, a bit of a revised combustion chamber, and a slightly spicier set of cams. And all that breathing room bumped these motors up to around 260 horsepower and 302 foot-pounds of torque. For the time that this car was made, that was not just pretty good, that was really good. But the GT didn't get all the love in this era. Oh no. Introducing the 99 Cobra with updated IRS suspension. In 99, Ford did something a little wild with the Cobra. They took that solid rear axle that was in the back of that thing, they ripped that right out of there and threw in some IRS, independent rear suspension. From 99 to 04, every Cobra that rolled off the line had IRS in the rear. This made the Cobra way more versatile and able to handle track corners and everything performance-wise way better. Ford also gave the 4-valve a pretty unique intake manifold at this time, which bumped the power to around 320 horsepower and made around 317 foot-pounds of torque. But yeah, about that, Ford made a bit of a oopsie poopsie. You see, all was not well in Cobra land. Thanks to a design flaw in the manufacturing process of these new updated intake manifolds, the 99 Cobra wasn't anywhere close to making 320 at the crank. It was actually probably making around 285 at the crank. But to Ford's credit, they owned up to it. And there was a massive recall on every Cobra. Every 99 Cobra got recalled, and Ford addressed the problem and kept the Cobra rolling. The only downside to this, there was no 2000 Cobra. There's a 2000 GT, but no 2000 Cobra for the year. But SVT wasn't deterred. They said, let's do something real fucking crazy. And ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you to the legendary 2000 Cobra R. This wasn't just a Mustang. It was a full-on track weapon. SVT and Ford took their concept of the 95 Cobra R and evolved it. It went from a little Charmander car to a full-blown Charizard fire-breathing monster of a car. Aggressive functional aero, IRS, Brembo brakes, a T56 6-speed manual, updated track-focused suspension, all 4 corners, and at the heart of this 2000 Cobra R, a 5.4 liter 4-valve modular motor. These beasts reportedly made around 385 horsepower and 385 foot-pounds of torque, naturally aspirated. Absolute terror on the track. But just like the 95 Cobra R, it was only sold to qualified drivers or qualified racers, and only 300 units were produced ever. So these cars are like ridiculously rare and ridiculously expensive. I'll never see one in my life, but it was a Halo Mustang in every sense of the word. Now, by 2001, Ford finally fixed their whole manufacturing error with the Cobra, and the Cobra finally returned. So after a year off, it returned with a T56 6-speed manual. Just Ford's way of saying, hey man, we messed up, but at least we made the car cooler, right? And honestly, it delivered. It's a solid performer, and people love these things. My friend has a 2001 Cobra, and he loves it. If he could, he would daily drive it every day. Now, in 2001, the GT, it mostly stayed unchanged from the 99 to 04. Nothing really changed much about it. But Ford had another thing in mind. In 2001, they brought back the Bullitt Mustang. Yeah, you know that Steve McQueen movie that your grandpa probably talks about, where it's Steve McQueen driving a green Mustang? Yeah, they brought that green Mustang back in 2001, but in a new edge body style. And what started off as a concept in 2000 became a real production Mustang. One of the only times that I think I've seen a concept car become a real production car, and it totally delivered. It got a little bit of upgrades. It got Cobra brakes, classic torque thrust wheels, refreshed interior trim, like it had like billet aluminum shifter and billet aluminum knobs and everything. It had a bit of a larger throttle body, a cast aluminum intake manifold, and some high-flowing mufflers, which gave it that signature 2-valve growl. You know, you can't be driving a Bullitt and have it be dead quiet. This bumped the power up to around 265 horsepower and 305 foot-pounds of torque, which isn't crazy, but it's still a super cool collector car, and people love these things. Now, in 2002, Ford made a bit of a oopsie-poopsie again and decided no Cobra for 2002. A few slipped in Australia, but stateside there were none. Cobra drought. But Ford wasn't just slacking and like, oh, we're not gonna make these anymore. They were cooking up something really special, because in 2003, Ford unleashed the most iconic Mustang ever built to date. That's right, it's the car that makes people go crazy. These things are fetching insane prices all over the States. It turned the entire car scene upside down. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2003 and 2004 SVT Terminator Cobra. That's right, because Ford took that 4-valve modular motor and slapped an Eaton M112 blower on it, making a supercharged beast that made 390 horsepower and 390 foot-pounds of torque. This car was a monster in the time. People called the Hellcat King. The Terminator Cobra is the original Hellcat, dude. Even before Dodge even dreamed up about building a fucking 6.4 with a supercharger on it. And the sound these cars made when you floored it, there is nothing like listening to a Terminator Cobra rip down the street. Now, it wasn't perfect. In 2003, the 4-valve heads had a bit of an issue. There were only 4 threads holding in those spark plugs, which under high boost conditions could possibly cause a spark plug to blow out of it at Mach Jesus. But in 04, Ford fixed that problem. They introduced the 9-thread head, which held those spark plugs in nice and tight when you made all that boost. And say what you will about Ford, in this era, every mistake they made, they owned up to. They fixed everything. Yeah, that's right. I'm looking at you, 10R80. Ford with your 10R80 bullshit. Now, the aftermarket for the Cobra, bro, there is everything you can dream of for these cars. Every single part you can think of. It absolutely exploded the market. People fell in love with these cars and they became people's dream cars, their love only car, their one and only car. There's a guy that used to come to the shop that I worked at, and he still owns his original 03 Cobra. Yeah, it's all done up now, but he still owns the original, his original 03 Cobra, which he bought in 03, and it only has 50,000 miles on it. He doesn't drive it. He only takes it in for maintenance and takes it to car shows, but he loves that car. He's like, I'm gonna get buried with this thing. People love these things. And speaking about Terminator Cobras, I don't know if you ever heard of this one legendary one called Snakebite, but I'm gonna play a quick clip here of Snakebite. Now, this video went kind of viral back in the day, and on the forums, on YouTube, very early YouTube, everywhere, it went kind of viral because it was the first Terminator Cobra with a Kenny Bell on it, and it dominated the strip. And I'm super proud to say I worked in the shop that originally built Snakebite. That's right, Mustang Magic in Deer Park, New York. And this car dominated for a long time. And the original owner, he sold the car to the tuner of Mustang Magic, and he just went full psychopathic mode on this thing. Manual steering, manual brakes, a fully built 4-valve engine, twin turb skis. The IRS was ripped right out of that thing, and a Ford 9-inch was stuck in it because it made way too much power for the IRS. And it was built for one single purpose: destroy quarter-mile times. Oh yeah, 7-second quarter-mile times in this bad boy. Insane. On 7 pounds of boost, Snakebite made 800 horsepower. On 7 pounds. That was like nothing. That was nothing. The motor was built to hold 20 pounds. And get this, the car only has 3,000 miles on it, and it's all track miles. The car has never really been driven on the street except for hooning occasionally and going to shows. But most of the miles come from just going down the quarter mile. And I'm really happy to say today, one of the previous owner of Mustang Magic, it's changed hands a couple times, still owns that car. He still owns the entirety of Snakebite, and he's restoring it back to its original Kenny Bell 4-valve roots with the IRS, everything back to how it was in 2003 when they first modified the car. And yes, it's a little sucky that it's not going to be going down the strip anytime soon, but it's pretty nice to see that this car is being revived and taken care of, and it's not going to be trash going down the strip, you know, and it pops a tire and then slams into a wall and destroys a 3,000 mile Cobra body. Now, you may think, hey, aren't you forgetting something in 2003 and 2004? I'm not. Ford was like, well, we got the Terminator Cobra. Let's make the Mach 1 come back. Oh yeah, they brought the Mach 1 back. And these things are works of art. They are my dream car. I love these things. It's nowhere compared to a Terminator, but I love these things. They had a naturally aspirated 4-valve with a shaker hood, and they just look amazing. The striping, the hood, the stance of these things, the whole vibe. It's one of my dream cars. Performance-wise, the Mach 1 was pretty much a 2001 Cobra. It made 305 horsepower and 320 foot-pounds of torque. But it was just glorious looking with that shaker hood. Nothing like it at the time. Absolutely nothing like it. It kept the Cobra brakes. It got the T56 6-speed and that beautiful high-revving 4-valve. Unfortunately, the Mach 1 didn't come with IRS from the factory, but not that big of a loss. A lot of people actually, they take IRSs from wrecked Cobras and they swap them into the Mach 1s because it's literally just bolt in and it works. Now, everything I just talked about, it sounds amazing, right? Because it was. It was absolutely amazing. Ford and SVT were on their generational run in this period. But sadly, all good things must come to an end. In 2005, Ford redesigned the Mustang again, and they gave it my most hated motor. Some people love it. I hate it. They gave it the 3-valve modular motor. Oh yeah, that garbage. With the spark plugs that break off in it. Not a good look for Ford. And sadly, it marked the end of an era for Ford. But the SN95 and the New Edge era, it created some of the best builders, tuners, racers we have ever seen. And go search on YouTube, you'll find hundreds, if not thousands of builds of these cars. Chris Fix drifting his 98 GT, legit street cars. I think has owned 2 Terminator Cobras, and countless shops, weekend warriors, just anyone gets their hands on these things and they turn them into absolute beasts. The SN95 and the New Edge truly revolutionized the tuning in automotive culture at the time. And these cars show up everywhere: drag, drift, time attack, anywhere. People take these things anywhere and just race them because they're that fucking good. And finding clean ones today, it's just getting harder and harder and harder and harder. Because one, they have the same problem as the Fox body. The frame rails start to rot out and the torque boxes start to rot out. So definitely look at that if you're looking to pick up one. Look right in through those frame rails and those strut tower braces, because they rot away into absolute nothingness, just like a Fox body. Also, because in the late 2000s, early 2010s, every high schooler with a set of wrenches and a dream has absolutely jerked these cars off into oblivion. And a lot of them, they did not survive that era of teenage torture. I know if I had one, it'd probably be at the bottom of the ocean by now because it's so messed up. But the ones that did survive, like Snakebite and like some of the other Terminator Cobras that are out there, or some of the 1,000 horsepower 2-valves, which is insane. Who thinks you make 1,000 horsepower on a 2-valve? They're absolute legends. And that's why this generation of Mustang is just so amazing and so iconic. It's reliable, it's tough as hell, and it's definitely one of the meanest generations out there. Now, compared to the Fox body, I'll let you guys argue that one out in the comments. I don't have a dog in that fight anymore. I sold my 98. So anyway, if you like this retrospective on Mustangs, check out my retrospective on the Fox body Mustang, which will be linked somewhere here, or any of the other stupid projects or builds I've done or planning on doing. Give a like, comment, subscribe, share the video. That's super cool. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.